everyone, welcome back to the Caprine Cottage Knitting Podcast. My name is Anne and I'm coming to you from my kitchen in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for joining me, and if you've been here before, thank you for coming back. I appreciate all of your views. But yeah, so today's episode is just going to be a kind of straightforward, basic knitting podcast episode. I have a few things I've finished, some things I'm working on, and I have a couple acquisitions, but I'm going to put them at the end, so if you're not interested in that, you can just skip the end. I think that's it though. Other than that, the one thing I will mention is I think we should talk about what I'm wearing. I feel like in my last few videos I've had nothing that I knit on, and I know people often wear their knits, and I do too, but I just feel like I haven't been wearing them. But so this is the Soric Smock by Gudrun Johnston. I feel like you can't get all of me, but you can have half of me at a time. Yeah, so it's the same in the front and the back, but designed by Gudrun Johnston. It's from Shetland Trader Volume 3, and I knit this in J&S 2 Ply Jumperweight. I made this last year, and I love it. I do feel like maybe I could have made one size smaller. I kind of don't mind though, because then it allows me to wear things underneath, but it is kind of roomy. You kind of see there is space. If I were to ever make it again, which I probably won't, I probably would size down one size. But yeah, it's the first project I ever did that was steeked, so it was knit completely in the round, and then there were steeks here, along this kind of bib front, and then also the pockets were knit in the round and then steeked. So that was kind of an adventure. It was really fun. To date, this is definitely one of the, I want to say biggest projects I made, but definitely with the most stitches. It is fingering weight, but it's knit at a pretty loose gauge, so it went relatively quickly. But yeah, I love it. I think it's super vintagey. I love the colors. These are the exact sample colors. There was 2 samples, and this is one of them. But yeah, other than that, I guess we'll just get into it. I have 3 finished items, so that's exciting. That's more, I feel than I will normally be having, so don't get your hopes up. I'm a relatively slow maker, and I do often work in finer weight yarns, so things don't necessarily go as fast. Though I'm branching out, I feel like. But yeah, the first thing I have is this skein of yarn that I spun. And it is, I saved the tag so I remember, Corriedale Cross wool, and it's hand dyed by Fairy Tale Spun fiber. And this was a hand painted braid, and it's spun up, I haven't measured it, but I'm guessing it's about, between a sport weight and a fingering weight. But the story is that I traded with my friend. She wanted some vegetables, so I traded with her she traded me some braids. She's also a spinner and a maker. But this was one of them, and it's the first one I've spun up. So it's pastel pink and green. And so I sort of have a loose plan for this, which is that I have more braids, more hand-painted braids that are kind of, I would say, in this color family. There might even be another one that's the Corriedale Cross. I know I have a bunch of merino ones. But in general, I don't love to spin braids. I feel like they're sometimes hard to draft. I've been known to recard them, but I always pre-draft when I'm spinning a braid. I just feel like the dyeing process kind of makes them not felt up, but become more grabby, and it's harder to pull apart the fibers. But anyway, my tentative plan with this, if I get around to spinning more, is that I want to make some kind of pressed flowers item. I don't know if I want to do the cardigan or the shawl. I saw another maker on here, Madison Monteze. She did, I think, the shawl with handspun as the flowers, and then chose a different background color, and I think that would be super fun. I feel like in general, I don't often use my handspun maybe as much as I should. feel like I'm more apt to weave with it than to knit with it, but I really like the idea of using it. I also, in the past, have sold handspun. So it's like very rare that I feel like I keep it and like use it for something. But that's kind of the point, right? I don't know. But yeah, so that's item number 1. My second finished item is the Taing Fair Isle Socks. I finished them. They are, oops, you can see me, in all their glory. I'm really pleased with how these came out. And yes, so once again, it's the Taing Fair Isle Sock designed by Jeanette Budge from Shetland Wool Adventures Journal, Volume 4, sorry, I couldn't remember. But I chose slightly different colors. I mentioned this all in my, I think my first episode I made on here. But I used, once again, J&S 2-ply Jumperweight. And yeah, I'm really pleased with how they came out. When I was making them, I was sort of unsure. I think I mentioned this before, but they are knit stranded even for this solid part. Like, obviously the color work is stranded, but the solid is also stranded, which makes for like a really thick, cozy sock. When I was taking pictures of them, I didn't want to take them off because they were so cozy. But it also, it's a new technique, and it was kind of something, I don't know, a little different to get used to, but I'm really pleased with the outcome. I like it a lot. Yeah, so that's the second item I have. And then the final thing you can kind of see sitting here, it's very large, is the Wildwood Shawl by Meoldy Hoffman, or Bee Mandarins. And I love this. I'm going to try and show it to you, but it's very big. So yeah, you can see it's huge. It takes up the whole frame. You can't even see me. Hi. But if you want to see better pictures where you can kind of get a feel for it a little bit more, I have added them to my Ravelry project page, and they're also on Instagram if you want to head over there and check that out. It will all be linked below so you can find it really easily. But I love this project. I'm really, really pleased with the outcome. It's just so cozy, and like I said, it's huge. Here, I'll put it on a little bit so you can kind of get an idea of how big it is. It's definitely the biggest shawl I've ever made. Super cozy. Feels like kind of a blanket. And I made this because I'm often at a farmer's market in the summer, and even though it's summer, it can be kind of chilly down there. It's near the water, and so there can definitely be a breeze, especially if it's a poor weather day, it's raining or cloudy. So I think it's going to get a lot of use. I mentioned before that this was my first time working with Plötulopi, my probably second time working with any kind of unspun yarn. And it's just been a lovely experience. It held double, Plötulopi held double. And I was really surprised by after I wet finished it, after I blocked it, how the texture of this fabric changed. Because I don't know if you can kind of tell, but it's very drapey for wool, in my opinion. It has a really beautiful drape to it. And when I was knitting it, it wasn't so much like that. It had much more bounce, acting more the way that I would expect 100%, non-superwash wool to act. But it really changed, and it's so lovely. I was pleasantly surprised. And then when we get into WIPS, you'll see I have some more Plötulopi projects coming. And so I'm just inspired to continue to work with this as a medium and kind of experiment with different ways of using it. So that kind of leads us directly into my works in progress. I have 3, which I know in my previous video I was trying to maintain only 2 WIPs for the year of this year, but clearly I can't maintain 2. It has to be 3, and I'll get into it, but I feel like there's a purpose for each one. They serve a purpose in my life, and so I'll kind of talk a little bit more about that. I am going to warn you right now, I can see that my camera has low battery, so we may have a break somewhere, so just be prepared for that. But so the first one you've already seen, and I'm just going to show it briefly because there hasn't been a whole lot of progress. Oops, I dropped the yarn. But so it's the lower low pullover or sweater. I can never remember which it is, but it is a pullover by Mary Jane Mucklestone from her book Fair Isle Weekend. And I've made, like, I have worked on it. I've made some progress, but it's just kind of slow going. Right now I'm working flat. Oh boy, this is a mess. The yarn is everywhere. But I'm working flat, so it just kind of feels like it's taking forever. But I have made some progress. This is where I'm working. It's going to be like the armhole section. This is the back of the garment. It always looks really big in frame. It's not that big. But so I have made some progress, but I've decided like this is going to be my dedicated farmer's market knitting project. So like I said, I'm at the farmer's market every weekend in the summer and also one day during the week. And I, normally we are busy with selling things to people. Sorry, here's the bag. But sometimes in the afternoon it can become slow. People aren't as busy and out and about. So, I can have some downtime to knit. But I definitely need to have a simple project when I'm doing that. And I think this is going to be perfect because right now it's just stockinette back and forth. I don't even have any shaping going on. Eventually there will be more shaping for the back neckline, the front neckline, but it's pretty straightforward. I think it's a good project. I can work on it with, I don't have to like look at it. I can talk to people and answer questions. And so yeah, it's still going. It's slow going, but going nonetheless. Okay. And then the next one, I decided that I was sockless for like a week. And I decided that I needed to cast on new socks. Also to start eating up my sock yarn stash. And so I decided to go for the Lake Socks by Lotte Lothgren from her book Observations. And I did that for a reason, which is that I'm using this yarn, which I've wound into a cake, from Little Lionhead Knits. And the color is Golden Hour. But I decided to use this because I want to, hopefully there will be leftovers enough from this project to then use this and the brown from my mushroom socks to make the Rad Radish socks now that I have the other colors. But so I just cast these on yesterday. It's a ribbed sock pattern and then with a cable detail up the back of the sock. And so the ribbing I've just done most of the ribbing for the ankle. You can see. But it's interesting because it's not a consistent rib here for the cuff. It's like a plain 2x1 rib in the front, and then in the back you can already see where the cabling pattern is going to start. There's some, like, I guess you would call them twisted stitches, like knit through the back loop, and then a slightly different ribbing pattern. But I'm really excited to just have a sock. I'm excited to have a plain sock. Well, I mean, it's cabled, but like, or ribbed or whatever you want to say. But I'm excited to have a non-color work sock pattern because I feel like I fluctuate between really enjoying, I love color work knitting. It's probably, I would argue, my favorite, but also there's something really nice sometimes about knitting in one color and exploring texture a little bit more. So I think I like that. And I do love knitting cables. I feel like that was kind of my first foray into like more complex knitting in the past, where I feel like I was mainly only knitting like really simple like garter stitch or stockinette stitch projects with like minimal shaping, no color work, no texture. And then I started getting into cables. I did some cable stockings. And I just feel like I do love it, but I've kind of left it behind for my love of color work. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I really enjoyed that about the Wildwood Shawl. It was a nice change of pace to just knit with one color and to kind of explore different texture techniques. And there is some cabling in this pattern. It's very simple. And then some slip stitches to make the little trees. So I think it's nice to kind of just keep trying different things and challenging yourself in that way. Hi, so my camera battery did die, so there's a little break in the footage, sorry about that, but we'll just get right back into it. One thing I forgot to mention about the sock project, because I was saying that like each project has kind of like a place and a purpose. I just love the portability of socks. I like that it's something small, I could take it in the car. I don't have to like manage like a whole bunch of different yarns, especially because this is a one color project. So yeah, there's that. But then the final project I'm currently working on, at least knitting wise, is this big guy. It's in this giant basket, but actually not that much of it is what I'm actually working on. So this is the Crowberry Sweater by Helene Magnuson. I mentioned it in my What I'd Like to Knit in 2024 video. And I have cast this on to be part of the Botanical Make-Along, which is being hosted by Gabriella of Merryweather Knitting or Living, and I think her name is Ashley from Papercrane Yarns. But so I cast that on as part of that. I generally don't, like, it's not even that I don't want to, but I generally don't do like make-alongs or knit-alongs just because I feel like I have like my own kind of thorough plans and agenda, and so it's like hard for me to shift. And also, you know, like there's the financial aspect of it where like a lot of times I've already purchased yarn for a project, so I, you know, feel, I guess obligated is sort of the word, but like I feel like I have to like use what I purchased, you know, to be like a sort of responsible consumer. But anyway, I cast this on, I think the make-along started May 1st, and oh yeah, about the make-along, that's really cool, is it's a whole year. That's the other thing, is I feel like sometimes I'm like too caught up in other stuff to meet a deadline or just like make it happen in the right amount of time. But so there's a whole year for this, and it can be any craft, which I also think is lovely. It's not just knitting, but it's all botanical themed projects. And so I had already purchased this yarn, and I decided that this could be part of it because a crowberry is a kind of plant, I think, in Iceland. I did read a little bit about it, but I've kind of forgotten that information. But anyway, it is my new Plötulopi project. So it's Plötulopi and Iztek's Einband held double. And I'm not going to remember the colors. The Plötulopi is like amber or something. And then I think the Einband is almond. I'll put it it's everything's always linked below. So if you're like super curious, you can look there. And then if you ever like it's missing something from down there, just like comment or send me a message or something and I'll tell you. I try to get everything, but sometimes there's just like a lot of information. But so, I'm going to drop this here. This is knit bottom up, which I feel like I'm like not so familiar with bottom up sweaters, and now I'm doing two of them at once. But yeah, so it's kind of hard to see. I think this is kind of a small cable for this project. I should probably put on a longer one. But there is some shaping at the bottom, so I did some German short rows, so you can kind of see it's going to have like, I think the back in this does hang a little bit lower. That's the back here. But also obviously to account for like wearing. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's going really fast, but back to the like topic of like each knitting project has a place and a purpose. This is definitely something that like I have to knit on at home. It can't come out of the house. It's just like too much to manage. Like you see it's in this like massive basket. There's, you know, for each color there's two, either a ball and a cake, or just like there's two things I have to manage, and then also obviously knitting unspun. It's not that it's hard, but like it's just you have to kind of manage it differently. You can't like have it in like a bag. And I know people ball it up, but I really prefer to work from the plate or the cake. I think that's just easier for me. But yeah, that's all of my projects that I'm working on. I guess let me know, are any of you joining that make along? There is a Discord server. I've like sort of been posting in there. I need to post more, but sometimes Discord is like hard for me to like keep track of, like responding to people or people responding to you, and it's like sort of confusing. Maybe I'm showing my age. I don't know. But yeah, I'm really excited for that. I like that I have time to work on it. Well, the last thing I have is just a few acquisitions. There's not very much, but I thought you guys might like to see. Some of it is what I ordered that didn't come in time for my local yarn store day video. And I have that here first, and that is these 3 skeins of mohair silk lace from Poppy and Spruce Fibers. Like this. And so these are, like, I love them so much. They're so beautiful. And so it was a mystery box from them. And in the, like, I think she posted it on Instagram, but you were able to like put in like if you wanted a certain color or like there was something you liked. And so I wrote that I like green and earthy shades, and so these three I feel like are really perfect for that. And I had bought these with the intention of them being a cloud bow dress or part of a cloud bow dress, and I'm still kind of leaning towards that, except I've also sort of changed my mind with one. So there's this skein here that's really this like beautiful blue gray kind of color, and I have two skeins of this, whoops, lichen and lace rustic heather sport, oops. And I got this in a mystery box from the Woolly Thistle either last year or 2 years ago. And I've been wanting to make the, I wrote it down, Late Bloomer Mittens by Kristen Late Bloomer Mittens by Kristen Lodgett. And I had this is like Annie Blot mohair that I bought at the thrift store, but this is like not a lace weight, it's too thick. And I thought that it might work for these mittens, but it doesn't, and it makes the gauge wrong. But so then I'm thinking like this would be the perfect combination. And then maybe these three could be for the cloud bow dress, which I feel like that looks pretty good together. Like at first I was a little hesitant, but you know, I feel like they kind of go in a weird sort of way. And then if I didn't have enough, I could even add in some of this heavier weight mohair, because I feel like the cloud bow dress can be made with scraps, and so I feel like maybe this is kind of cool. I don't know. I'm still undecided, but I think the more I talk about it, I really do want to make the mittens with these two, because I just think it's really pretty. So that's all the like yarn acquisitions I have, and then there's just three other little things, which is their books, their publications. And so in well, not in my town, but in the city closest to me, the library does like a book sale twice a year, and I always go because I have a problem. But I went on Monday for my mom's birthday, like for a little outing. We went together, and I got three things that are knitting related, so I decided to show you them really quickly. And the first one are these two little pamphlets, which I think are really cute. One is Sven the Scandinavian, and I've seen some people make him, or there's like a girl version too, and I just think it's really cute. I haven't really done any like toy knitting, and I love dolls. I always have since I was a little girl, and so I just think this is super cute. And then this one is so you can make yourself a matching sweater for the little doll. I don't know if I'll make these things, but just thought it was super sweet. And I always like to have a printed pattern. Then the next one is this book called Folk Socks by Nancy Bush, and this is all about like, it's just about like the history of knit socks, and then it has patterns from like all kinds of different places. Like, let's see if I can find one. Like here's one, Highland Scottish socks. So I just thought that was cool. It feeds into my love of sock knitting. Oops. And then the last thing I got, which is stuck in the basket, there I got it, is this Traditional Fair Isle Knitting by Sheila McGregor. I feel like this is like a really classic kind of standard Fair Isle knitting book, and it has like a huge amount of charts, which I don't know if you can see that, but that's why I bought it. I just think it's a great thing to have. It's good for inspiration. There's some information at the beginning with some pictures, like old pictures of Shetland. Like this is really cool. And so I just thought that was really inspirational and like a nice reference book to have in my like crafting library. So yeah, if you have any of those books or you're interested in them, let me know. Tell me about it. I did also buy like other non-knitting related books, but I wasn't sure if that's something that I don't know, maybe you guys, like, I feel like I'm trying to keep this channel, like, pretty crafting centric, but if you're interested in other things, I know a lot of people have expressed interest in seeing about the farm, so that's definitely coming, hopefully soon. But if you'd like to hear about what kind of books I like to read, like, you know, fiction, like novels and stuff, I'm happy to share that too. And I think that's about it. That's all I've got today. Sorry this video is a little bit, like, spliced together. Like I said, my camera was kind of giving me trouble today, but I think I've got that sorted. And hopefully there will be a non-issue in the future. But other than that, yes, thank you so much for watching and for joining me here. I always like to have your company. I've been so enjoying reading all of your comments and all the things that you're knitting on, and some of you have also expressed love and interest for Shetland and Fair Isle knitting, so I love to hear that too. Shetland is definitely my favorite place in the whole world. And yeah, I think, I don't know, I guess I should plug all the things here. So yes, once again, thank you for joining me, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry, both of which will be linked below. If you could please, like, if you seem interested, subscribe. It really helps me. Like this video, all those kind of things. I appreciate all of your views. Like, the momentum as I start this journey has just become more and more, and it's incredibly exciting. Like, it's beyond my wildest dreams, I guess. So just know that I appreciate you, and without you, this wouldn't be really even anything. I guess it would just be something I was doing for myself. So it's just exciting to see that other people care. And yeah, hopefully we continue to grow. There's more and more of you. We can all be friends. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.